in Misaki County, about 170 miles northwest of Detroit. They say they found 3 people dead and another in critical condition. As law enforcement searched for the suspect, they found a 4th person dead at another home. Authorities say they later found the suspect's vehicle in a wooded area, which led them to his body, as well as the remains of another person. Police originally said they were investigating a shooting, but have not released information on how each person died or whether they even knew each other. The suspect in the murder of the United Healthcare CEO is facing a potential life sentence. This is following his guilty plea on Friday. Luigi Mangione confessed to gunning down CEO Brian Thompson in New York back in 2024. Mangione's sentencing is set for December, but as Leah Waldman reports, he didn't plead guilty to murder charges, and it's unclear if he's ever going to face them.
Lasting less than 40 minutes, Luigi Mangione appeared in federal court in Manhattan Friday, pleading guilty to federal stalking charges. Mangione is charged with gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson nearly 2 years ago. Mangione telling the U.S. District Judge, "I shot Mr. Thompson and he died. I knew what I was doing was illegal."
As Luigi explained in court today, he endured years of severe, debilitating pain following a broken back while struggling to navigate our healthcare and health insurance systems.
In a separate case at the state level, 28-year-old Mangione faces second-degree murder and weapons charges in connection to the shooting death of Thompson, in which he has pleaded not guilty.
New York law does not permit a person to be prosecuted and punished twice for the exact same crime.
Mangione's defense team immediately filed a motion to dismiss some of the state case on grounds it violates New York's strict double jeopardy laws.
This was a strategic move by his defense team to, again, prevent him from being tried in state court. It's not automatic that the state case will be dismissed.
Following the federal court hearing, the Thompson family releasing a statement saying in part, "Today's guilty plea marks an important step towards justice for Brian and for our family. While nothing will ease the pain of losing him, we are grateful that the federal justice system has held the person responsible for this heinous act accountable."
The result achieved today now allows our office to seek the maximum penalty allowed, life imprisonment.
In Lower Manhattan, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Almost 30 years after rap legend Tupac Shakur was shot and killed in Las Vegas, a jury is now seated in the trial of the man accused of orchestrating his killing. Opening statements will begin on Monday. The 1996 murder was a bloody moment in what was then known as the East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis is the first and only person ever charged in connection with Shakur's killing. He says he is innocent, but it was his own words in a self-published book and his media appearances that rekindled the cold case. CNN's Nick Watt has more on how we got here.
Hey, Keith, Metro Police, come over here.
Keefe D was arrested 3 years ago.
So what they got you for, man?
Oh man, biggest case in Las Vegas history.
Oh yeah?
The shooting, the killing of Tupac Shakur at a stoplight in Vegas late one night after a Mike Tyson fight nearly 30 years ago. Here's what prosecutors will argue, detailed by a homicide detective just after Dwayne Davis, Keefe D's, arrest.
As we all know, Tupac Shakur was an artist who was signed with Death Row Records. And that Death Row Records and its CEO, Marion Suge Knight, were closely affiliated with the Mob Piru criminal street gangs, and that they had an ongoing feud with the Southside Compton Crips. Dwayne Davis was the leader and shot caller of the Southside Compton Crips.
Members of both gangs were, say police, at the Tyson fight in the MGM Grand that night, and afterwards, in the lobby, Tupac, Knight, and others spotted Keefe D's nephew, Orlando Anderson, and beat him up.
Dwayne Davis began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur.
Anderson, his uncle Keefe D, and 2 other men allegedly got into a white Cadillac and followed Knight and Tupac, who were in a black BMW en route to a club. Unclear exactly who pulled the trigger. Some have said it was Anderson. Keefe D is the only man who was in that white Cadillac who is still alive. He's now 63. He was, they say, the shot caller, and under Nevada law, he can still be charged with murder.
Within the first few months of the investigation, our detectives knew most of the information I just briefed you on. However, we never had the necessary evidence to bring this case forward.
His own words, say investigators, were Keefe D's undoing.
Specifically, Dwayne Davis's own admissions to his involvement in this homicide investigation that he provided to numerous different media outlets.
Them jumping on my nephew gave us the ultimate green light to do something to their... And in the documentary, Murder Rap Inside the Biggie and Tupac Murders, Keefe D describes the moment he says he handed Anderson, whom he calls Lane, a gun while riding in that Cadillac.
He was Dre was like, oh, Lane's like, dude, fuck.
But in July, Keefe D denied being involved in the killing, telling a Las Vegas news station he wasn't even in Nevada when Tupac was shot.
I ain't really right.
Well, I mean, that's what court's for, right?
So, it's Keefe D's own words that landed him in court. Here's how that happened. Back in 2008, he struck a deal with law enforcement. He told them about narcotics, gang issues. He was up on some charges at the time. And he also told them that that night that Tupac was shot, he, Keefe D, got the gun, had it in the front seat of the car, passed it into the back seat, and Tupac was shot. Now, the deal was that those words could not be used against him. That was the quid pro quo. Then, in 2019, he wrote the book and he started talking about it. So investigators said, well, the deal's off. If he's talking about it, we're going to use those words from 2008 against him. That is what's happening. The trial is expected to last 4 to 5 years. Nick Watt, CNN, Los Angeles.
The extreme heat and fires. Welcome back. I'm Salma Abdelaziz. Let's check some of today's top stories. Hawaii is preparing for the arrival of a possible hurricane this weekend. Tropical storm Lala is expected to pick up strength as it moves closer to the Big Island. Now, forecasters warn it could bring 2 feet of rain to some areas and nearly 3 feet of storm surge. U.S. President Donald Trump says he plans to declare the Strait of Hormuz a U.S. territory. He didn't say how he would do that, given that it's an international waterway between Iran and Oman. Tehran quickly fired back, saying the strait can't be seized with a tweet, an aircraft carrier, or a campaign speech. A 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck off the south coast of Indonesia on Saturday, killing at least 32 people. Rescue crews are continuing to search for survivors underneath the rubble of fallen buildings. The quake briefly triggered a tsunami warning, which was canceled about 3 hours later. On that breaking news out of Indonesia, we want to bring in CNN's Gage Golding. He is in Hong Kong following the story live for us. A short time ago, Gage, our producer got in my ear and said, you know, the death toll has very unfortunately gone up in this tragedy. Can you tell me what you're learning now?
Yeah, throughout the overnight hours, the big thing that we were working is trying to figure out exactly how many people were killed by this earthquake. You said 7.7 magnitude, and for those that aren't exactly familiar with how earthquakes are rated, that is incredibly strong. You know, anything over an 8.0 magnitude is really about as terrible as it gets. And this is stronger than the Colombian earthquake that happened just a little bit ago. This brand new video you're seeing here from the disaster agency, the Indonesian disaster agency, I should say. The death toll right now at 38 people dead with 13 hurt. Many of those that have been killed have not been identified. That's according to government officials. And what we do know is that there are still people they are trying to reach through the debris, through the rubble. We're told that right now, and remember, this is all kind of preliminary figures, there are roughly 10 people trapped underneath the rubble that they know about that they are trying to get to. Part of this is, I mean, this is an island community, very hilly, very mountainous, if you will. There were a lot of landslides that caused problems for those search and rescue crews trying to get to the areas that they needed to work. And you see this video of the folks running here. There's video, if our control room can pull this up, of tourists that are sitting up on a little kind of a mountain peak here in Komoda National Park. You see the tourists here. I'm assuming they were led by locals, but if you watch closely, look at the people sitting on the ground. You'll start to see them sway back and forth as the earth beneath them shakes. You kind of see it there a little bit, how some of those people are standing. I'm not necessarily sure. You see the girl in the white there with the blue pants. You can kind of see that. Obviously, they're trying to get up because of the fear of tsunamis. And there was a tsunami warning. Thankfully, water only rising about a meter, which is roughly 3 feet. And other nations nearby did not issue that same tsunami warning. But I want to take you to a quick soundbite from emergency responders there that just delivered an update within the last hour or so, kind of talking about the search and rescue and the resources that they'll be using. Take a listen.
The Basarnas Special Group is also prepared to deploy an advanced team using Indonesian Air Force facilities to carry out necessary measures on the ground and rescue lives affected by the disaster.
Airports, hospitals, and other buildings have been damaged. We're hearing about 74 homes, at least in this preliminary account, have been damaged. Salma?
CNN's Gage Golding there with updates on those rescue and recovery efforts. Thank you so much for bringing us those updates. Wildfires in Europe have forced Spanish emergency crews to remove relics from a historic monastery. The remains of the first 3 kings of Aragon were moved from the San Juan de la Pena monastery. The fire started Monday, but it got more intense Thursday because of high temperatures and very strong winds. Firefighters have been working tirelessly to save the monastery, and the very good news is that so far, as of Friday morning, it remains untouched by those flames. Many other parts of Europe were not so fortunate. The record high temperatures and ongoing extreme drought are feeding wildfires across much of the continent. Our Stefano Pozzebon has been following all of these developments, and he is joining us now live from Rome. You know, these images that we are seeing across Europe, the skies turned red, people fleeing their homes in the middle of the night, firefighters struggling to contain blazes. These are so heartbreaking. Tell me about the stories behind these pictures.
Well, the stories, unfortunately, Salma, are the same throughout the continent. Perhaps for the first time in history, we're recording record-breaking wildfires, not in one country or another, but it's really been a succession of catastrophic wildfires throughout the European Union and even in the British Islands, which normally is a country that you would associate with wet weather and rainfall. Well, even Britain is now struggling to contain the wildfires, with the local firefighters unit saying that more than 1,000 wildfires have been recorded in England and Wales alone in the year so far. That is already more than any number recorded throughout the whole of 2025. But the stories behind these tragedies are, of course, the stories of family of tourists, for example, that are being stranded. We've seen that in Greece, with hundreds of tourists having to be evacuated by small boats on the sea to leave the area where the fires were threatening a tourist resort, or people going to the hospital in life-threatening conditions. Right now, there are 14 of them in Croatia alone, and it's really a crisis hitting several countries at the same time. As I was saying, you know, you mentioned Spain in the lead. I've already talked about Greece and Croatia. But for example, 1,800 people in Germany had to be evacuated between Thursday and Friday because a fire was threatening the town of Gais, that is in northwestern Germany, close to the border with Belgium. And even France, has just turned the corner on a catastrophic wildfire in the Bordeaux region a couple of weeks ago. That meant that over 250,000 French people had to be evacuated from their homes. Well, now the French are struggling with yet another catastrophic wildfire, this time in Brittany. Brittany is in northwestern France. It's also a region that is not known for having these issues in the summer. It's where you normally go wearing a rain jacket to Brittany or the UK. And instead now the drought is so severe that even these places are seeing catastrophic wildfires in the middle of the summer. Salma.
France, Spain, Croatia, you're near Iran. Still ahead, we're going to talk to